All right, we're going to begin on basic facial treatments this morning. And what a basic facial is, somebody has normal skin, no particular problems, but we want to keep it normal. We're going to do so using our products such as cleansers, massage cream, astringents, moisturizers, all that. And we need to learn our basic facial steps. And I do have them posted here so we don't forget. The first thing we want to do is set up our facial table, and the reason we have a towel on it, we have sprayed it down and sanitized it, but we can only sanitize, not disinfect. So we know that means there could be germs still there. We retarded the growth of some, and we may have killed some, but they're still there, so we don't want her skin coming in contact with the table. We're going to also drape her hair up, even if she's fixing to go get a shampoo and set. We don't want our oils and all to get all in her hair, and it gets aggravating to her hair flopping in her face, so we want to contain it. We've laid out our equipment over here this morning, and the first thing we're going to do is analyze her skin to see what type of products we use on it. Normal skin, we can just use our basic products. If they have dry skin, we want to use something with more moisture in it. And if they have oily skin, we want to go to our oil-free products. But we'll talk about those facials in a little bit. So the first thing we're going to do, the book tells us the first thing to do is apply cleanser. But if I have a client that comes in that has an awful lot of makeup on, I like to put a warm hot towel on there, or warm wet towel on there first, and let it soften a little bit of it. And then as I remove it, I wipe some of it off, and I don't feel like I'm grinding makeup and dirt and grime into her face as I put the cleanser on. So the first thing we're going to do is wet a towel. And I was taught with facials that if you can squeeze it out with your hand, it's not too hot for her face. But I will go ahead and caution you, our water gets really, really hot, and y'all probably learned that already. It is too hot to squeeze out with your hands. So you want to be real careful about having your water on. Make sure you test it first. I went yesterday to help pick up some things to go over in our Soperton Center, and I intend to get one to go back here too, where we come in before we do a facial and wet 6 or 7 towels and put them in a crock pot. And that way they're damp and wet, and you just reach in. You have to go through all this squeezing and running water all over the place. And I did purchase her one yesterday, so I intend to get one to go in our area. We get our towel wet and warm, and we're going to cover everything on her face except her nose. And we do that. We've got our towel folded in half. We're going to lay it down on her chin, flip this over, flip this over, flip the other side over, and then we're going to gently mash so that it's touching all of her skin. So I like to do that even before I've applied cleanser, and I like to leave it there till it cools a little bit. So I'm from one thing to another. While she's cooling a little bit, I'm going to get my cleanser ready. And one thing you want to learn with using these supplies is you never leave them open, because we're running around and stuff's coming off of our body and going into them. So once you remove something from it, you close it immediately. Put your spatula in the sink, and if you have to dip again, you'll get a clean spatula. I really like tubes better, but economy-wise, with so many students doing procedures, it's a lot cheaper to buy it in the jar. And when you got a tube, you just squeeze it out. You don't have to worry about this sanitation issue of dipping in there. If you do not have a spatula, do not dip your finger in the jar. Find you a spatula, because once you dip in there, you have contaminated the whole jar. You can't run and get a spatula then. My rule of thumb is, with supplies, take out half of what you think you're going to need. And why do I say that?
So you don't waste anything.
You don't waste anything, and you can go back, and usually we're going to take out more than we need. If we get what we think we need, we've usually got twice as much. So if you will half it It will just take a little bit on your back of your hand, and it's there so you can work with it. Now, as I take this towel off, if she had on makeup, I'd use up and outward strokes just to get the top portion of it off. You want to remember around the eyes, come in easily. This is the exception to the rule. And then just hold it with the other side and come up and out, and up and out, and again in around the eyes. We're going to change towels at points and times with this too. Always rub your equipment, or excuse me, your supplies, whether it be massage cream, cleansing cream, or whatever, to warm it on your fingers so that nothing's real cold that goes on her face. And then you begin to apply your cleansing cream. We want to make sure we get it down in her neck area. We want to try to keep it out of her eyes, but we're going to pretend that her eyes are closed, because you would ask your client to close their eyes. You can do briefly some of your massage manipulations now. I'm a little bit opposed to doing much massage manipulations while cleansing cream is on there, because again, I don't like the thoughts of I'm sitting there scrubbing facial cleanser that's mingled with makeup and dirt and dust and pollution. Once we feel like we have the cleanser all over the face, we're going to put another warm towel on it. And want to be careful about the usage of warm or cool towels, because warm towels open pores, cool towels close pores. And right now we're in the cleansing portion, so we would like to open the pores so any impurities can be brought to the surface to be cleaned off by us. While this warm towel soaks on her, I'm going to show you about the facial machine. And it is not incorrect, I want to make it plain, it's not incorrect to use your facial brushes now. I do not like to, because again I have this thing of scrubbing impurities into the skin. And what I'd like a facial to do is to get them out. But while she's laying there, I'm going to show you a little bit about it, and then I'll use it whenever we put the massage cream on. The brushes come in several sizes because the facial area is built differently. We've got the lips and a small place in front of them, and the cheeks, which is a bigger area. The neck is a larger area, so we have a large brush, medium-sized brush, and a small brush. And I usually only use the medium and the small, because the medium will get over a lot of the areas, and then the small comes in around the nose area. And what these are meant for is to help remove dead skin cells during the facial treatment, and they feel real good. But make sure you don't have an extra sensitive client here, because some people don't like them. About 5% of the people that get facials do not like them. And we'll hook them up and use them in a moment. We also have the mister. And what a mister is, and y'all asked a while ago what an astringent is. This is something that will help close the pores, and it's totally controlled by you. And we will use it in a minute, and I'm going to spray it on y'all, but it feels real good and real fresh. And this is especially helpful for somebody with normal to oily skin. And I don't like it when my students do this. They put sea breeze in here. Somebody's skin like mine, sea breeze is the answer, because I have oily skin. But witch hazel is the best to keep in your spritzer, because you can use it on normal, oily, dry, whatever, without any damage. Our facial machine also has electricity, and this is the galvanic current. And I'm not going to hook it up because she doesn't have an arm, needless to say. But what happens with it, the inactive electrode goes on an arm. You never put it on the left side of the body, though. You put it on their arm with a cotton moistened pledget and just attach it to their arm somewhere. And it has a little band that you put on over it that holds it in place. And once you get it in place, This is our active electrode, and we will rub it over her face. We never turn it on and touch their skin with it, because if we do, we shock them. We've got to put it in place and then turn it on. So you want to start with your power low, and we have a switch that turns it low or high. Start with it low, and once you come in contact with them, you can start turning it up. And again, if you will watch their facial expressions, you can tell if it's really bothering them. Most of the time you don't feel anything. You're aware of the presence on your face. Your currents are meant for after effects. In other words, you'll see the effects later or there, feel it, but it's not going to be painful. And that's our galvanic current. And these are electrodes, in case you're wondering. And the black is negative and the red is positive. Alright. Now let's get our cleanser off. She should be cooled down sufficiently. And again, we take our towel off. We rub up and out, except in the eye area. We want to go around. And we want to make sure we cleanse all the facial cleanser off. If you've got somebody with oily skin, blackheads, scrub as you go by. Not rough scrubbing, but use firm pressure. Alright, I consider this a dirty towel now, so I'm going to get rid of it. The next thing we're going to do is, if we were going to use the steamer, is apply steam. And I'll turn it on. I'm going to go on with massage. We turn it on and we set it. And I'm going to ask, when you use the steamer, that if it needs water in it, you get an instructor to put it in it. If it goes below the bottom red line, it will not steam. And if water is applied and goes above the top line, it will not steam if it's overfilled. Excuse me. And then we have to take the whole bottom portion off of it. Of course, I had to take it off last quarter and clean it, but it is a lot of problem to take it off. So please just get us to fill it up. It uses distilled water. Also, an analysis. Let's go to our light while we wait on that. In skin analysis, and I'm going to ask y'all to put your hands under here, but you could use this on her face to get over and analyze. Stick your hand under and look. You can see every little pore. You see how different it looks? We got anybody brave enough to put their face under it? Did I get a volunteer?
I'm gonna dare put my face under that thing.
Y'all see the pores? You often have to move so that you can see, move the light, the magnifying glass. Can y'all tell the difference? Can you see it plainly?
No.
You want to look now, don't you?
I do.
I would be very careful in using this, as it's good for analysis, but oftentimes we use eyebrow arches, and you see I can hardly find the eyebrows. It gives me a loss of perception of distance, and I'm always scared to get tweezers here because I'm working in a very delicate area of the eye. Also, after we've analyzed, if we've got a client with oily skin, they usually are going to have blackheads called comedons. And I have what you call a comedon extractor. And most of us come along where we find a blackhead and we do this number or this number. But a comedon extractor has a hole in it. And we put it right over the blackhead after we've had the warm towels on the head, on the face. And warmth opens up the pores so they're ready to pop out. And all we do is take this hole and make sure you're using the round shape on the skin because it's hollowed out at the top, and you can feel that's a sharp edge. But this is real smooth. You put it so you can see the blackhead, and then you just mash and it comes right out. No bruising of the skin. You want to be careful if you use the extractor in the eye area because you don't want to head like this, or if you got one up here you don't want to head like this because the face gets slippery. If you've got a blackhead right here on the forehead, put it this way with your hand between it so it does not slip in the eye area. Also has a scoop on it, and blackheads are really bad in the bend of the nose, and you can come right around with the scoop holding it like this and it will pull them right up out of the skin. And again, you don't have the bruising you have. When you get a little more advanced, and I certainly don't use this in the school, but I do at home, it has a lancet on the other end of it, and you can see both of them go in. It's a really sharp implement, and if you've got one that doesn't want to come out, and you know it should, you just take the lancet and go around the edge of it just a little bit, you know, because you're not wanting to draw first blood, and your light's good for that, but you got to be really careful.
Should have showed us that.
I'm not going to give you this one. This one's mine. The extractor works wonderful. If you've got somebody at home, they sell these in drugstores. Revlon puts them out, and both ends will look like this, and one will have a little bit bigger hole than the other. But usually my students rush out to buy these once they learn about them because they didn't have a clue. A lot of people have been using bobby pins too if they had some at home, you know, and that cuts into the skin, so that's really preferable. All right, our steamer seems to be getting ready, and I want to show you how to use the steamer. And if you'll notice, this machine comes around and goes around and move to suit you, whatever. This arm pulls down, and not only does the arm pull down, this turns around. The last thing you want to do with this is get it where it's blowing like this on her, because that's going up her nose and it's taking her breath. Your steamer should be directly over your client, but by no means where it's going to want to take her breath. I guess it'll start steaming in just a minute. It sounds like it's getting ready. So while I wait on that, I'm going to go ahead with my massage cream. It's very important that you use some cream as you do your massage manipulations, and even in a basic facial, which is not dealing with any problem, it's just keeping the skin normal and healthy. Make sure you use cream so that your hands glide over their faces easily. And again, get about half as much as you think you'll need, because remember, what you put on, you've got to get off too. Some clients also like some moisturizer on their faces. It steams. They feel like that the moisturizer then enters the skin. I want my fingertips soft with the cream, but I want the massage cream a little bit warm so it's not a shock to her. I'm going to apply it using upward and outward. Anybody going to help me out this morning with massage manipulations? What do we start with?
Effleurage.
Effleurage. What is effleurage?
Some relaxing, stroking.
Stroking. So we want to restart. Change from palmer to digital. Feather down. Stroke. Feather down. Using upward and outward movements. We can work here in the forehead area. You can also intertwine your fingers, her forehead's a little bit small. After we've relaxed her with effleurage, what do we go to then?
Petrissage.
Petrissage. And what is petrissage?
The kneading.
The kneading. So on the face. What does this do to the blood circulation? It stimulates it. Why is that good for our face? It cleanses the skin. Would this help in an oily facial type that's prone to blackheads? The kneading movement? Be helpful? It's going to help squeeze some of those impurities out. That's the purpose of cleansing an oily face, is to help get all the impurities out. After petrissage, what do we do? Friction. What is friction?
Deep rubbing.
It's deep rubbing, but we remember we're on the face. We want to use our middle finger because we're really strong in this finger. And we could, as we get up closer to the eye area, there comes our steam.
It's going up her nose.
No, it's not. It's blowing over it. To go up it would... It makes you feel like it's about to kill you. It's a good time to step away whenever you've got that going, not stand back here with it yourself, but don't go out and leave your client with it because they may not realize, and you'd notice those signs. All right, back to friction. We don't want to use these fingers because we're stronger in them. We want to use our middle finger. It's deep rubbing, but we know we don't put a lot of pressure on the face in anything. But when we get up here, the temple area, that's a motor point. And we may stop and do a little frictional rubbing. What's after friction?
Tap movement.
Tap ointment. What does it do to the facial tissues?
It tones muscles.
Tones muscle.
Tones muscles. Why is that important with the face?
Your face will be sagging.
So your face will be sagging. It's going to do that soon enough. We don't want to bring it on early. Just let them fall in fast succession. And then comes vibration. And again, we have an electric vibrator, and I would prefer that you use it. The client may think you're having a seizure or something. Then we wind up with what? And you're going to massage them longer. Effleurage, and that is what? Right back to our stroking. Now is when I like to use the brushes. So I'm going to clean my hands a little bit so I make sure they don't slip off. And we'll use the facial brushes. To use our brushes, make sure our machine's on. They just snap right in, and you turn them on. And I want y'all to feel this because I don't think you're going to get DNA off of her. You certainly want to be careful around the ears and not get the hairs tangled up in it. And again, remember your rules. That's your medium brush. And they do have to be washed and disinfected. Then we put our small brush in. And you can see where it would fit around the nose area better. And that is an area that's usually a problem area. You want to feel how they feel? So you can see if you were thinking it was going to be painful, it's not painful at all. All right. Once we get through with our massage, we've got to come back and put another towel on. I always use warm with the massage cream because it helps remove it. But if you've got somebody with dry skin, would that be helpful to them? We've got moisture there. I want what? After we get this off, we are going to start going to cool. We've warmed them up and opened them up, and we're going to start after this.
So they have dry skin, just leave it on there? Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not the moisturizer.
Oh.
That's the massage cream.
Oh.
I'm just saying this would be helpful.
Oh, I said I wouldn't be.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's going to be really helpful to. We're going to put our warm towel, and it's opening up the pores. Where are we going next? Apply our tonic or freshener. What does a tonic or freshener do? And we call it an astringent often. Closes up. Closes up. That's what happens when we put it on. We've nicked a place. We put an astringent or antiseptic on there. Helps to close it up. Also, if there's any germs or bacteria left, it helps to rid the body of that. And I'm going to show y'all a couple of ways to do that. Let's move our towel now. Get our massage cream off. How do we remove it? Up and out, except around the eye area. And y'all see I'm getting different areas of the towel every time. And hopefully you can see the different amounts of pressure that I put down in the facial areas except the eye. You can tell it gets a little more gentle. If you've got a person with dry skin, you need to use a freshener on their face because we have opened the pores and we don't want everything going into it. And if you're worried that your freshener is going to be too strong or you don't have one developed for them, all you have to do is wet your cotton first so that water is absorbed in it, and then put your antiseptic or your astringent. And now it's diluted down with the water. And you just apply it to the face. And I'm not going to apply it because I'm going to use our spritzer to apply it. But you just wipe it on the face. I just love this. I'll go ahead and tell you. This is one of my favorite things. It makes you feel so fresh and so clean. But we want to cover her eyes before we start spritzing. And you can dampen these with water if you want to. You can use cotton pads. This is just to make sure that that astringent doesn't go in her eyes because it will burn the eyes. Now she's really pretty. I don't feel like she's looking at us. All right. I want to show you how the spritzer works because you have total control of spritzing on her face. There it comes. It acts like it's about stopped up. Let me open this a minute. I don't know why it's not wanting to spritz well. Let's see if I give it a little more airspace. These machines are where you can order extra containers if you'd like to. There it comes. And when you take your finger off, there's no spritz that comes out. So you spritz as much or as little as you want to. But I want y'all to feel this. It really feels good. Doesn't it feel good and fresh? Alright, now we're on the cool down side of the facial, so that means what? We talk like we're on the cool down side. We're fixing to close those pores. We have opened them up, we've scrubbed them, we've put the brushes on them, we've steamed them. We've got all these impurities out. We've used the Comedon extractor on them if need be. And now we want to close them. The astringent starts the process. The next thing that we might use is a mask. And I'm not going to put one on because you've got to wait a 10-minute time frame. But it's applied in the same way your other products are, up and out. It doesn't take a lot. If you put on a real thick coat, it's going to take them an hour and a half to dry. You just want a coat on there. And you go by what type of skin they've got. This says it helps dry up acne, pimples. It rinses away blackheads. It helps to shrink large pores. So that tells me right off it's for oily skin. We can always tell about a person's skin by their pores. If we readily see their pores, that means they have oily skin. If we have to get it really close and see a little bit, they have normal skin. And if it looks like a smooth surface with no pores, then they have dry skin. So we want to choose the product that works well with them. This is the egg yolk mask. It says it's vitamin enriched, helps tighten pores, and it rinses off easily. The textbook, and there was a lot of us that fussed about this, the textbook used to say, take your facial mask off with warm water. What is the problem with taking it off with warm water? It opens the pores up. What are we wanting to open them back up for? We have just went through the process of opening them up, cleaning them out, and now started the cool down and the mist and the astringent process to close them back up. Put a mask on to help close the pores and then remove it in warm water, so I highly object to that. The only way I would think of doing that is if it was dry skin, because heat does activate the glands, not only the sweat glands, but it activates the oil glands, and that would be really good for somebody with dry skin. All right, questions? Can we go to the classroom to finish this so we can lecture through the other parts of it?